welcome. And today we have Jackson Moreland with me. We're going to be talking some sports as the NBA playoffs go on and the NFL draft is just around the corner. Jackson, let's start off with the trade that happened. The Bengals got Dexter Lawrence. The Giants got a 10th overall pick. Straight up trade. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Well, it's interesting. I think it's going to depend on how Cincinnati wants to look at this season. Dexter Lawrence, he's getting up there in age. He's in his late 20s. So you have to ask the question, was trading a top 10 pick worth it? Especially for a defensive tackle. While defensive tackles are certainly important, they're not one of those positions where it's necessary to have, a top 10 defensive tackle to win it all. I think if Cincinnati wants to be aggressive this year and really try to make a run to the Super Bowl, it might be a good move. I think there's questions about who would be available with that 10th pick, especially defensively. So I don't think it's a terrible move from Cincinnati. I think we're going to have to wait and see who gets drafted with that pick to really determine whether or not the Bengals won the trade. But for right now, I'd give a solid grade, probably about a B plus to the Giants, probably something like a B minus or a C plus to the Bengals.
So I think the Giants definitely won the trade, especially right now. Dexter Lawrence was having some contract issues. He wanted out, so they were able to get a 10th overall pick for him, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that. Next, we're going to talk about the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite team is the Seahawks, and we won the Super Bowl, so I'm not too worried about our draft.
My favorite team, on the other hand, is the Cleveland Browns.
I'm so sorry.
We're on about opposite ends of the spectrum there. Browns did not have a great season this past season, so what that does mean is I can look forward to the NFL draft.
They have pick 6 and 24 in the first round.
2 first-round picks. It's going to be an exciting draft. So there's been a lot of talks about possibly us trading the 6th overall pick and trying to acquire 2 other first-round picks or something similar. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. At the same time, there's not any prospects that I'm too terribly excited about that we'd probably pursue. No one that I see is generational, but what we do really need is first a wide receiver and secondly an offensive tackle. I think we're going to try to target, depending on where we end up, if we make any trades, try to target some names like Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, try to acquire a solid young receiver for whoever it is who will be starting at quarterback next year, whether it's Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders or some random free agent, who knows. We also need, with that being said, to acquire some new offensive linemen, specifically an offensive tackle to protect whoever is at quarterback. We struggled with that last year. I think we're going to look for names like Monroe Freeling and Caden Proctor from Alabama. So I think those are the main prospects I'd be looking for right now. Like I said, it'll all depend on whether or not we make a move to try to move back in the draft and trade that 6th pick away.
Yeah. I think that if Carnell Tate is at pick 6, I would take him.
Mm-hmm.
But pick 6 for Mekhi Lemon or definitely Jordan Tyson, that seems like a small reach to where if Carnell Tate's taken in pick 4 or 5, I'd try to trade back and maybe acquire another pick and then get Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson. Would you be disappointed if they picked a quarterback this year?
I think the answer to that is yes. There's no incredibly exciting generational prospects at quarterback. I don't think. A lot of them are kind of older. I don't see their upside as being incredibly high. I mean, you have Fernando Mendoza.
He's going number 1.
He's old. He's older. He's going to be going number 1 most likely. Even if he fell to us, I wouldn't want us to take him because I just don't see that much of an upside with him. I think the best thing for us to do right now is to try to develop Shedeur Sanders. He didn't have an incredible season, but saw some flashes of some pretty great things. So
For sure.
I think it's best to give him at least one more year, see where things go, because we're not going to be contenders this year, regardless. Let's face it. So we might as well try to develop some of our younger players.
Okay, let's move over to the NBA. The playoffs are in full swing. We've got game 2s going on, some game 3s are about to start, and awards are going to come out soon. So we have NBA MVP, NBA Rookie of the Year, and NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Who do you think will win Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, I think that was probably the easiest of all the awards. It's been projected that Wembanyama will be a unanimous winner of that award. You know, the odds are very heavily stacked in his favor, and I think that's deserving. He's had an amazing season, especially defensively, with all the blocks he's had. So I think that one's kind of a no-brainer for me to be Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I would definitely go Victor Wembanyama there. I don't even think it's close. Okay, what about the Rookie of the Year? There's been talks about Con Knippel or Cooper Flagg. VJ Edgecombe is in there. Who do you think will win that one?
So for me, that one, I think it's a lot closer than Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's still kind of a no-brainer. At the beginning of the season, I thought for sure VJ Edgecombe would be the winner of Rookie of the Year. He dropped, 40 points in his first game or something like that. And Cooper Flagg and Con as well sort of struggled at the beginning of the season. But since then, it's been completely a battle between Con Knippel and Cooper Flagg. VJ Edgecombe his production has fallen off a little bit. Still very promising, but not quite on the level that either of them are. I think between those two, I think it obviously has to be Cooper Flagg. I mean, he leads in every statistic compared to Con Knippel, except for total 3-pointers made. He leads in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, everything. He dropped almost back-to-back 50-point games. We also saw Con Knippel struggle a lot in the play-in, which isn't supposed to go toward the award, but I think it just reinforces the idea that Cooper Flagg outplayed him this whole season and deserves Rookie of the Year.
I think Cooper Flagg really carried his team. He didn't have no other talent, and he's broken so many records that LeBron set. He dropped 96 points within 2 games. You get back-to-back, almost 50 you were talking about. And I think he deserves it. He's a very good basketball player and a very good athlete. Okay, now MVP. This one is probably the most heated.
I'm very opinionated about this. If you were to ask me who I think will win MVP, I would say Shea. I think the odds are definitely stacked in his favor. But if I was a voter for MVP, I would most certainly be voting for Victor Wembanyama. I think that the way that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander plays basketball is not a way that is worthy to be awarded with an MVP award. A lot of his points, and you especially see it in the playoffs, come from drawing fouls, which in and of itself is a talent. It's a good talent to have. But the way that he does it is so, how do I put this, extraordinary. And oftentimes there's calls where there wasn't any real contact at all. And I would argue that without kind of the refs being in his pocket a little bit, he would not be in the conversation for this award. So if I was voting for it, I think that'd be Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's been the star player on an incredible team. He led his Spurs to beat OKC, the 1 seed, 3 times throughout the regular season, which is incredible considering how well OKC has done. He's done incredible on both ends of the floor. He's going to be unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. He's done great offensively. So I think for me, it'd be a no-brainer.
So I do think that Shea will win the MVP, and I think he deserves it. I I think I like Shea a little more than you do.
Probably.
But if I couldn't vote for Shea, I don't think I'd vote for Victor Wembanyama. They have other people. I know that like Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. They're great players. They're like first team All NBA, but they're not MVP. Luka Doncic has been averaging like 34 points a game all season. He's held his Lakers together. He is out right now, but I think he's had an incredible season in like the way that he's been able to score. He is very ball dominant. I think I'd vote for Luka over Wembanyama.
You know, I think oftentimes in this discussion, it's a bit too offensively biased. I think that if I was a general manager, who would I most want to have? Who would be the most valuable player for me to have on my team right now, especially in the playoffs? And for me, I think that's Victor Wembanyama because he's incredible at both ends of the floor. I mean, any team is going to have immense struggle scoring on him in the paint. I mean, it's almost impossible. His blocking ability is unbelievable. He can shoot the three. He can move almost like a guard, which at whatever height he is, 7'4", is
7'5".
unbelievable. I think whether or not he wins it this year, he probably won't. But I think he'll only get better as the years go on, and I think we're going to see a long stretch of a lot of MVP awards for Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I just think there's a difference between restarting your team and picking one player. I think everyone picks Wembanyama. He's young, he's tall, he's athletic. He's a center that can shoot, which is like something we've never seen before. But MVP is just this one season, and I think for that reason I still have to go with Luka. Okay, we're going to move to our final topic. Who you have in the NBA playoffs. I want to hear your Final Four, and then your championship game, and finally your champion.
Okay, so based on what I've seen so far, it's been an interesting playoff. A lot of back and forth. I think it's going to come down to a lot of injury news, especially in the West. How quickly will Victor Wembanyama return from his concussion? Can LeBron survive against the Rockets until Luka and Austin Reeves are back? I think it's going to be dependent on a lot of that. As for the West, I think it's very interesting because you have dominant 1 seed OKC. I think they're a lock for the Final Four. Then for me, it comes down to, I'm not sure how the bracket is set up. If the Lakers are on the same side as OKC or they are. See, that's an interesting one because based on the performance so far from the Lakers and specifically LeBron, which has been incredible given that he's 41 years old with no star help. I think if they get Luka and Austin Reeves back, they have a legitimate chance at upsetting OKC. But I don't think I'd bet on that happening. So I think we're going to see an incredible 7-game series between OKC and the Spurs, assuming that they get Victor Wembanyama back. The Spurs kind of dominated that matchup in the regular season, so it'll be very interesting. I think that we're going to see a pretty big upset, and we're going to see the Spurs move on to the NBA Finals from the West. The East, I feel, is a little more even. There's a lot of options to pick from. The Cavs have looked pretty dominant in their first 2 matchups against Toronto. The Celtics looked very good, but then they just lost their second game to the 76ers. The Pistons did not look good at all in the first game, losing to the Magic, who are pretty widely considered the worst team in the playoffs, especially as a 1 seed. My picks from the East. Again, I'm not sure how the bracketing lines up. I would take the Celtics as well as, are the Cavaliers on the same side as
No,
Celtics?
the Cavs would play the Pistons, assuming that they make it that far.
So I think for my picks from the East, I'm going to take Boston and Cleveland in the conference championship. And then for the finals, I'm a Cleveland fan, so I'm a little bit biased here, but I think we really have what it takes to make the run this year. I think we're going to see a Spurs versus Cavaliers finals, and I'm going to take the Spurs in 6 games.
Okay. It's bold. It's hot. I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Of course.
If you want to see more of Jackson, like and comment.
Yeah.